warmly welcoming you to How Does She Do It, the podcast, with me, your host, Jo Ferroni. Join me on my journey as I explore finding a gentle balance in both business and life, because being kind to ourselves is our superpower. In today's episode, I chat with Jess Chalmers, a digital safety expert who is on a mission to help parents navigate the complex world of online safety with confidence rather than fear. Having started out in magazine advertising sales before running Instagram accounts for local businesses, Jess explains how watching the Netflix documentary The Social Dilemma sparked a profound realisation that despite her social media expertise, she didn't feel equipped to keep her own children safe online. This moment of clarity was the catalyst for retraining and transforming her career entirely as she became a specialist in digital safety, working with parents, schools, corporations, and young people themselves. In this conversation, we explore the overwhelming anxiety many parents feel about their children's online lives, and Jess explains how education is the key to empowerment. She emphasises the importance of doing what's right for your own family rather than worrying about what others are doing, and shares why having open, ongoing conversations with children about their digital world is crucial for building trust and resilience. It was clear to me how Jess's approach makes internet safety feel so much more accessible and actionable too, and she shares lots of practical tips that you can implement immediately, helping with your family's online safety too. So whether you're feeling overwhelmed by the digital landscape or simply want to feel more confident in guiding your children online, Jess's practical wisdom and reassuring approach will leave you feeling both equipped and truly empowered. Enjoy the show. This week's episode is sponsored by Juliette Rivette, founder of West Surrey Accountants. If you're a small business owner who finds accounting a bit overwhelming, Juliette might just be the person you need. What really sets her apart is how genuinely warm and approachable she is. Clients love that she takes the time to get to know them and their business, making what can sometimes be a stressful topic feel genuinely manageable. Juliette specialises in working with sole traders and small to medium businesses, helping with everything from self-assessments and bookkeeping to VAT returns and payroll. And she actually wants you to understand your numbers. No confusing jargon, just clear explanations that help you make better decisions for your business. Here's the good news. Juliette is offering you 10% off if you sign up before the end of December, whether that's for your self-assessment or a full year's support for your limited company. So if you'd like a top-notch accountant who genuinely cares about making your finances less stressful, contact Juliette at westsurreyaccountants.com, quoting HDSDI. Find the link in the show notes. Jess, hello and welcome to How Does She Do It? How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm really looking forward to this conversation today, especially because this is the first time we're meeting. And as I spoke to you before we hit record, I just love not knowing kind of what direction a conversation is going to take itself in. Obviously, I've put together a bit of a structure, but you never know what's going to come out of one of these interviews, and that always keeps me excited, it keeps me smiling, and very much looking forward to every conversation. So I feel like we should dive straight in and learn a little bit more about you. And I've got to ask, would I be right in thinking that being a digital safety expert isn't necessarily something you've done for your whole career? Could you maybe give us an idea and a little bit of background as to what came before?
Yes, of course. So my background is I used to work in publishing. So I used to work at fashion magazines. So I started off working at InStyle magazine, and then I worked on the launch of Grazia magazine in the UK. I was a salesperson, so I used to look after the fashion advertising in Grazia, which was really fun. It was a great job. I got made redundant from that role a while ago. Let's think, 13 years ago. And then I took some time out, had babies, had a lovely time with them. And then I started doing something kind of from the kitchen table, basically. I was just sort of wanted something to do, didn't really know what I wanted to do, didn't think I wanted to go back into magazines. And I used to, it just started off running Instagram account. Started running my husband's business's Instagram account, and that grew. And people asked me to run their Instagram account. So I ran a few I'm based in Chiswick, and I ran a few local businesses' Instagrams, which I just found a bit boring. So I started, rather than doing it for them, thought, well, you know what? I'll show them how to do it. So I started running workshops, showing people how to run Instagram, so kind of masterclasses sort of thing. And that's where I was before doing this.
Brilliantly concluded there. I love that. Absolutely love that. I'm fascinated that you had that career in magazine publishing. That was something that always really interested me when I was younger, actually, though I never ended up going down that route. And I love how when we do decide to do something a bit different, once we've had something big change in our life, in your case, having babies, you just never quite know how it's going to evolve. And I love that you started with the Instagram and then got to the point where, it probably did serve you brilliantly for a while, but then you needed more. You needed something different. And I love that you shared that with us, because I think it's a really important message actually to other business owners out there, that it doesn't have to be, I did this career and now I'm doing this thing. It
Yeah.
can be that we're finding our way, that we're exploring and working with things that suit us at that time, but might then lead on to something else.
That's exactly it, and if I hadn't have done the social media management, it wouldn't have led to this. And the reason I'm doing this is because of that. And so you never know what path you take, where it's going to go. So you've got to be open-minded, haven't you?
You really have. It's those stepping stones and trusting, I think, as well, in taking those steps and seeing what might come. And I think it's a really brave thing that a lot of women do, actually, and I really, really admire and respect it. So bring us up to date then. Tell us what it is you do now, how you work, how did it go from the Instagram side of things to the digital safety side of things?
Right. So how it happened was I was running Instagram. I was kind of running workshops for people on Instagram. Because of that, I had an in-depth understanding of how kind of powerful social media was, which is great when you're growing a business on Instagram, and you're pulling in your ideal customer. But I had this feeling in my head, that this sort of niggly feeling that this wasn't so good for young people and kind of children, this power. And then I watched The Social Dilemma, the Netflix documentary, which is all about this subject, the power and influence that the online world has over us. And I quickly realized that despite thinking I knew what I was doing, I wasn't equipped to keep my children safe online. So I had a bit of a panic. I spoke to some friends who'd also watched The Social Dilemma, and they were panicking. And one of the friends said to me, "Come on, Jess, you're doing workshops showing people how to run Instagram. Can't you just do a workshop for us and teach us mums how to keep our children safe online?" So I thought, oh, there's an idea. I had a look around to see if I could get information myself, because I was feeling quite overwhelmed and wobbly, kind of not knowing where to turn, and realised that there was a bit of a gap in the market. So I retrained some of the world's leading child safety online experts. I now attend conferences and webinars, and I read loads of books and listen to podcasts and read research papers. And then what I do is I share that information and research and advice with parents who are feeling wobbly about life, just as I was feeling wobbly. I share that information in workshops. I do them in corporate settings. I do private workshops. I go into schools and speak to parents there. And I also now speak to young people in schools, which is really nice. That's a newer thing. And that's lovely. I've been at a school this morning talking to some year eights about kind of critical thinking and fake news. So that's where I am. And it all came because I was doing that thing before.
Wow. Okay. I've got a few things I want to come back to there. I am absolutely intrigued. So many of us watched The Social Dilemma.
Yeah.
But so many of us didn't do what you went on to do. And so thank you for that. Thank you for taking the bull by the horns and really, really running with that. Not just sitting scared, but taking action. I absolutely admire that. And of course, yes, your Instagram, the depths of knowledge that you brought from your Instagram work obviously would have set you up well for it. But that wasn't enough. Obviously, you then had to go on and train and to really do so much to get yourself in the position where you could then go on to help others, which I just think is amazing. The other thing I wanted to say was you are not the first person to come on the podcast and share that it was that observational piece of a friend or a group
Yeah.
of friends that led essentially to the seeds of your business idea. And I think that's really, really fascinating. Sometimes people outside of us are looking onwards towards us in such admiration and witnessing. They obviously witnessed in you something that really could lead to a very powerful offering. And they wanted you to be sort of front and center of that. How did that feel?
Well, I mean, I didn't really, do you know, I didn't even think of it like that somebody was admiring me. I just thought, cool, you're clever. That's a great idea, is sort of what I thought. But actually, this same person has been a real guide for me. Claire, her name is. She's been amazing. You know, when I get a bit stuck and feel a bit in a pickle about something, usually business wise, she's a couple of times she's been the one that offers great advice. So she's obviously very savvy. Yeah, she's a great friend.
A great one to have on side, I should think.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant. I love support like that, and she clearly gets you and gets the whole offering behind your business, because she witnessed it from that early stage. I also really love to think that you are able to spread your message. I know you spread your message brilliantly over social media, of course, Instagram in particular. But I love that you spread your message across all of these other different mediums, whether it is across businesses, schools, and the fact that you are in there talking to actual students now. That must be incredibly powerful. Do you get a lot of feedback from them?
Yeah, so I do, and I get great feedback. Obviously, you know, from the children as well. They say, I don't think you know, they give me they can give me very, you know, how I can improve feedback too. But I think it's really good because when I started, parents said to me, Jess, can you just talk to my children? And I'm like, no. This was sort of this is sort of 20 years, like five years ago. No one's going to want to talk to me no children's going to want to talk to me on a Zoom call. It just isn't going to work in the same way at this point. All my kind of workshops were kind of online. And then when I started in schools, it's just perfect because I often speak to children in the daytime at schools, and then I speak to the parents in the evening, kind of on a workshop in the evening. And so everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet, so to speak. And it's just a good two-pronged attack because I think that's what we need because I obviously am speaking to children in a different way to how I'd be speaking to the parents, but the message is still the same.
Of course. Yeah, that two-pronged approach has got to be a powerful one, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And I should imagine that the parents are incredibly grateful that the school has invested to have you come in and speak with their children, because it can be a really tricky conversation, well, conversations to have with kids. So I love that you're in there at that level as well. Online safety is, I believe, still relatively new in the grand scheme of things. There's been so much change, generational change, since I was young. I can't even begin to think back to how different school was for me, to how it is for kids now, with obviously endless internet access, smartphones, social media, and everything else beyond. Am I right in thinking that there is a whole generation of parents out there, a bit like me, who kind of don't quite feel well enough equipped for this parenting experience that has kind of just arrived for them? I certainly remember when my eldest was born, we were just nowhere. I think perhaps Facebook was just about coming on the scene then. So it was very, very different then. How are parents feeling in general?
I think, well, parents I speak to are feeling overwhelmed.
Mm.
They're feeling like they're not good enough because they don't really know how to do it. They're thinking they know what they've got to do, but that it's almost the thought of doing it is too overwhelming. And I know that feeling because I'm a parent. I've got a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old, so I'm right in the trenches with these parents, and I understand it completely. Which is why, this is the only reason I'm doing this, is because I used to feel so wobbly and overwhelmed myself. So the best thing we can do is educate ourselves, because we have to educate ourselves, because it's not something it's not something we've grown up with. It's not something we just, we just know, because it's, as you say, it's all new.
Brilliant. So I should imagine there are a lot of parents out there like myself who are incredibly grateful that you didn't just stay overwhelmed and sat in the corner worrying about it. You took action. How do the parents that you get to speak with, or maybe who come on your workshops, how do they respond to all the knowledge and expertise that you share with them?
Well, what I want them to feel is, I want them to feel how I did when I got the information. I want them to feel empowered by the knowledge, and I want them to feel confident with their parenting choices. That's what I want. For me, that's the absolute aim, is for people to walk away from there thinking, right, I know what I'm going to do. I feel really confident with my choices. And I think the big thing is, stop worrying what everyone else is doing. So and so isn't allowed a phone, but or this person isn't allowed to do this, or this person can't do this. Like, just do what's right for your family. And I think when you've got all the information, you've got the advice, you've got the research, you can then do what's right for you and your family, because all families are different. We all parent differently. There's no right way or wrong way. And I think that's what you want. I want a parent to walk away feeling empowered and confident.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely applaud that. When you were saying that just then, I went back many, many years, and I'm just going to use this as an example. In fact, there are two things. First of all, when the kids were doing SATs, back in infant school even, and I remember how many parents got their knickers in such a twist about what their child should know and should they be doing extra revision and what have you. And I remember thinking, oh, am I a bad parent? Because I just believe that what the teachers are teaching them are what they need to know. And actually, the world's not going to stop turning if they don't do brilliantly in this test. And I remember feeling, I wonder what the other parents think of me because I'm not so on it as them. And the same came about when it came to choosing secondary schools. People were getting their knickers in a twist again about, which was the terrible school, which was the absolute ultimate school. And I remember just stepping back, and I think that I'm just throwing those slightly random examples in there just to echo what you're saying as a really, really strong message to the parents out there listening today. You do you.
Mm.
And we've all got the information that we then decide what action we take because of it, because of our children, our family. And you can't be swayed by what you think or perceive other people to be doing or not doing. It's enough of an overwhelming topic as it is,
Yeah.
without throwing everyone else's potential judgments into the mix as well. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And that's it. And I think anything when it comes to parenting, people have very strong views, whether it's co-sleeping with your child, breastfeeding your child, when you wean your child, when you give your child a smartphone. People can be very, very, very kind of aggressive with their opinions on this stuff. And I think you've just got to just let people be, whoever, let them, as long as they've got the knowledge and they'll make the right choices for them. And it might be different from you, and that's fine.
Yeah. Make your own decision and trust. We got to trust, haven't we, in ourselves, because we're never going to do anything regarding our children that we haven't thought hard about, and that is enough. I think as parents in so many different areas, we can put so much extra pressure on ourselves as well. And so enough is absolutely enough. So obviously you are educating parents, but I also believe that you're bringing them peace of mind and positivity as well around what can feel overwhelming, and I actually believe quite terrifying in some respects with the online world. For someone who perhaps is at the stage where they've only just come across you through today's interview, but they are feeling really quite anxious about what to do, what not to do, what to worry about, what not to worry about, how would you recommend that they, I don't know, feel a bit more peace of mind, if you like? What would you recommend to them?
Well, I think the best way to stop feeling overwhelmed is to educate yourself. So if you're feeling overwhelmed because you don't know about the thing, whether the thing's TikTok or whether the thing's FIFA or whether the thing's playing Roblox, whatever the thing is that's making you feel wobbly and overwhelmed that your child wants to do or is asking to do, just have a look into it. Educate yourself, think about it, work out whether it's kind of something that you'd feel happy for your child to use, play with, game on. And I think that's the most important thing we can do. So working out what the potential dangers are online, know what they are, so you can then speak to your children about those dangers and those risks, and then you can alert them to what do you do if this happens. So if this person does this, or you see this, or this happens online, this is what you do. And I think if you do those things, that's going to take some of the overwhelm away, because you're equipping your children with the knowledge that they need to be resilient and responsible online. And for me, that's the biggest thing we want our children to be. We want our children to be responsible, resilient digital citizens, because then we can send them out into the world. And I truly believe that you have to teach your children that skill. In the same way you teach your children to ride a bike, to cross the road, to know that, that cup of tea is hot, don't touch it. You can't just hand a child an iPad and expect them to get on with it and know what to do, in the same way that you can't just let them just walk across the road. So I think we have to educate ourselves so that we can then guide our children online and teach them how to behave.
And that, I think, is absolutely wrapped up in what you said near the beginning of our conversation about that empowering parents to feel in control of a situation as much as they can be. Of course, we can't be in complete control, but as much as they can be.
Exactly. You can't be in complete control, but you can be in control of how you're feeling about a situation. So if you're feeling like, I'm feeling really wobbly and I'm feeling a bit scared, like I was feeling, when I watched Social Dilemma, you can then go, right, okay, I'm going to take some time and I'm going to educate myself. You can come to a workshop, or you do something, or whatever it might be. I've got loads of great resources I can give you later to share with parents. There's so many amazing things out there that you can kind of dip into, and they'll really help you take away some of that overwhelm.
I really love that. You can dip into or dive into. And I think that that's really key, because we've all got our different ways of processing information, of parenting and what have you. And so to know the information is there for people to access and utilize as much or as little as they feel is right for them is absolutely spot on, absolutely perfect. So there might be people out there today who are, maybe they've got younger children and they haven't got to the point where devices are a thing yet. Are there any things that people should kind of do, principles that perhaps could be applied at the really early stages, just before a child perhaps gets their first device? Do you maybe what you've just spoken to is exactly that? It's about the communication, letting the children know what situations could happen, what the ground rules should be. Is there anything else you'd add to that?
What I think is really key when it comes to children of any age, whether they're teeny tinies or kind of teenagers, is talking to them, being open and having open conversations about their online lives. So if your child isn't online yet, they probably are watching TV. I mean, lots of children are, so it's asking, what TV show do you like watching? Or that's a moment where they're kind of whether they're on Netflix, that's an online moment, isn't it? Or whether they're watching, whether you've got a teenager on TikTok, what made you laugh on TikTok today? Or how's your world coming along on Minecraft? Or, what funny things did you see on YouTube? Because I think if we open up and we show an interest in their online world, we've got to remember that, okay, the tiny ones, it's not a huge part of their world. But as they get older, the online world is so important to these young people that to completely ignore it and not ask about it is you're just missing out on a huge part of their life. So I think asking questions, having conversations, not just being, how long have you been on that device for? Or why are you playing that when you could be outside in the sun? That's usually how we talk to our children, isn't it, about stuff? So I think if we change that narrative and ask questions, be curious, show up, at least then if anything was to happen and anything goes wobbly or something happens, they're more likely to talk to you about it, because they're just very used to having that conversation about their online world. It's just very natural. However, for little ones, there's some great picture books out there, which I bought for mine when they were, so when my daughter was 5, I had a brilliant book called Chicken Clicking, which I loved. And Once Upon a Time Online. There's books, you can find about online safety, which just sort of starts a conversation. And I always think storybooks are really good for having those conversations with little ones. So yeah, there's loads of great books out there as well for little tinies.
Oh, that's brilliant advice. I really love that. And I like what you said about opening up that conversation, because whether we like it or not, tech and online life is part of their existence, isn't it? Just because it's not perhaps how we grew up, it doesn't make it any less part of their lives today. That is just how things are now. So rather than kind of ignoring it or only focusing on the negative side of it, making it more of an open, normal, I guess, conversation. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Just making it part of your everyday conversation in the same way you'd say, "Oh, how was your day at school today?" "Oh, what made you laugh?" "What? Oh, show me something funny you've seen on YouTube today." It's just making it conversation, I think, rather than it always being the thing that you argue about. How long have you been on that for? Why are you wasting your time on that? That is so often how we talk to our children when we're talking about their online lives. So I think just flipping it really helps.
Brilliant advice. I take that on board, and I don't doubt that my listeners will be taking that on board as well. Thank you. With that in mind, I would be so interested if you might share just 3 simple tips with us today that are kind of straightforward. So something that my listener today can perhaps take action with kind of straight away and really think about here and now, so they can feel that perhaps they're making better steps in the right direction.
Of course, I've got 3. This is a very easy one for me because I say it to children over and over again in my school workshop, so much so that by the end I say, "And what have you got to do?" And they shout it back at me. And I bore parents as well when I go to them in the workshops. And I'm like, "I'm so boring, but I'm going to keep going on about it." So this is it. My 3 tips. Number 1, teach your children how to screenshot on every device that they use. So show them how to take a screenshot, whether they're on a phone, a laptop, a Kindle, they're using a Nintendo Switch console, like whatever it is. Teach them how to take a screenshot. If you don't know, I didn't know how to do it on a Kindle, just pop it into Google or on a search engine and find out. The reason you want to do that is because if anything happens online, you want them to be able to get some evidence of that to show a trusted adult. So I say to children in schools, and they all know this feeling, if anyone ever makes you feel funny in your tummy online, you take a screenshot. So that could be that someone sent you something mean, something creepy, something scary, something nasty, whatever it is, take a screenshot and show your trusted adult. So that's my tip number 1. 2 and 3 are teach your children how to block and report. So on pretty much all games you play online and social media apps, there's a block and report feature. So if your child's playing a game, before they start playing, say, right, let's just check and work out how to block and report on here, and show them how to do it and get them to practice it a few times so they know what to do. That rule applies with screenshotting too. I always get my children, okay, come on then, show me how to take a screenshot. And then because often, I forget always on my laptop how to do it. So it's just reminding them kind of how to do it and getting to practice. So screenshots, block and report. Again, if anyone makes them feel funny in their tummy, that's when you want to do it. And the reason it's so powerful for them is because it empowers them. Because if anyone does do something which is not very nice or unkind, they're dealing with it in the moment. And I think that's really key. And of course, telling trusted adults. So screenshot, block, report, and tell a trusted adult. If anything makes them feel funny in their tummy, that is my top tips.
I love that. That is so concise, so powerful. It did make me chuckle when you said about how you forget sometimes how to screenshot on your laptop. I'm the same. I've actually got a Post-it note that reminds me which combination of letters to do for the screenshot. But how brilliant that a child in that moment, because it would be something momentary, wouldn't it? It's like in that moment, they almost don't even have to think about it because you've trained them, right?
Yeah.
This is what we do. And you share with the trusted adult. And that's not just okay, that is just how we do it.
Yeah. If you're wondering how to, you're looking into parental controls and you're wondering what to do when you have a new app or a new game in your family, please can you go to internetmatters.org and type in the name of the game you're worried about, or the name of the social media app that you want to work out how to. And social Internet Matters is so brilliant. It gives you step-by-step instructions on how to set these parental controls. It's amazing. It's like literally pictures with circles. You know exactly what button to press. It's so simple.
That's brilliant. What I'll do, Jess, is I'll ensure that I pop that in the show notes so people have got a quick link to Internet Matters. I hadn't heard of that. I feel embarrassed that I hadn't heard of it, but
You don't know what you don't know. There's absolutely there should be no embarrassment or shame. Like you don't know things until someone tells you.
yeah, and now I know. So thank you so much for that. One of the things with technology is that it just never stops moving. It doesn't stay still, does it? I certainly feel personally that I'm always behind. I'm always playing catch up, and I don't doubt that other parents might feel similar as well. Is there anything we can do as parents to try and keep up and ensure that we're not falling behind? Is it something that you share on your channels? Is that something that you speak about when there are updates and changes and what have you? Is it your Instagram or website we should come to?
Yeah. So I would, yes, please do come to me. So if there's ever a new game or a new app or something we need to know about as parents, I don't know, perhaps there's a new part of the online safety act that's dropping, or there's a new code of conduct, or there's a new, I found out about a new game today when I was in a school, and I don't know anything about it because my children don't play it. So I'm going to go and read about that, and I'm going to make a post about that soon. It's just, I will always make posts and put them on my Instagram. So please come and follow me on that, _social Jess. And I try and share useful information. But I'm also aware that keeping up with tech is a job in itself. I mean, it is a job in itself. But thankfully, it is my job. So I am going to be launching a newsletter soon. So if anybody wanted to join this newsletter, send me a DM on Instagram or pop me an email with your email address, and I will add you to my database. And that will be a monthly newsletter that will round up whatever we need to know. As parents, there's always something we need to know. I mean, AI has gone crazy, so there's going to be a lot of stuff about AI coming up. So yes, do that, and that should hopefully keep you in the loop.
And that moves us on perfectly to my next question, which basically is what's going to be on everyone's lips right now, because I know that you have shared so much with us, and I also know that this is going to leave parents wanting more and wanting to explore more about you. So two things here, Jess. First of all, it would be great if you could recap how people can work with you. But then if you can also just share your links again, how people can find you online. And I'll make sure that I pop those in the show notes as well, to double up on that for you.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. Yes, I would love if anybody would like to work with me, I would love that. So I work in different settings. So I run parent workshops. I do them in the schools. I do private sessions. I'll sit around someone's kitchen table, or I can do it online. And I also do corporate workshops. So I can't go into, if you've got a business and you want someone to go in and talk to people, family members and parents there, I can do that. Or I can do it online. So all of my workshops are both online or in person. And I also go into schools. So if your school is looking for people to come in and talk about online safety, I'd love to do that too.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And where can they find you
Oh,
online?
yes. Come and find me. So I hang out on Instagram the most, which is _social Jess. I'm always happy to take DMs with questions, whatever, if you're having any worries or any wobbles, come and send me a message there, and I'll do what I can to send you resources to help. I hopefully share useful information on that. I am on LinkedIn, but I find it a bit scary over there, so I don't really hang out there. And then my email is jess@socialjess.com. So feel free to ping me emails if you would like to work with me, or any other questions.
Brilliant. I love how open you are and how incredibly supportive you are as well, because it's no mean feat what you're offering, and obviously so invaluable to hundreds and thousands of people. But you're also a human being behind your brand, which I just feel is so real and so lovely. And I've really, really enjoyed talking with you today. But we have got to touch on our last few questions, which I ask at the end of every episode. The first one is, what is the toughest thing for you, Jess, about working for yourself?
Oh, I'm a people person. I just love being with people. I get my energy from people. And sometimes I just want that water cooler moment like I used to have at Grazia, where I'd pop round and I'd go and chat to the FHM boys, or I'd go and talk to the girls on Heat magazine. I don't have that anymore, which I miss. I miss that for sure. So that's the one thing that I find tricky. And also sometimes motivating myself. Because of course you could be unpacking the dishwasher or
Yep.
doing all sorts of other things. I can get myself distracted very easily.
Oh, you're not the only one. Yeah, I call it productive procrastination. So we're doing something else that's actually
Yeah,
quite useful, but it's very much not what we're meant to be doing at the time.
exactly.
Thank you for sharing that. Very, very popular response, that one. That isolation piece.
Yes.
It's tough. It really can be tough. And what is the best thing for you about working for yourself?
I love, I love, I love, I love. I love the fact that I'm in control of my diary, that I will go to the gym or work out every morning. I love that I can pick my daughter up from school. I love that I can never have to worry about, can I take this time off to go to the sports day or the Christmas show, whatever it might be. I love that part of it. I mean, that to me, when people say, what is success to you? Success to me is being in control of my diary and balancing it so I can do both family stuff and work stuff for me is joy.
I can feel that joy. I can see it, but I can also feel it as well. And to me, it just comes across that you have got absolutely the right balance for you. And I think that that is success, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just having what works for you and yeah, you're in control of it. I love that. Now, the final question that I ask every episode is this. The name of my business is How Does She Do It? Because I believe that she doesn't do it all, at least not all at the same time. So I would love for you to tell me one thing that you either do or perhaps don't do anymore to ensure, that you remain on track, healthy and happy.
Right, that would definitely be working out. Yeah, so running, going to the gym. If I didn't do that, I don't know. I'd be climbing up the walls.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that when you said about daily workout or gym. I really, really love that. So that energizes you. That's
Yeah, I think
what
it
do you
probably
get?
burns a bit of energy for as well. Energizes me and burns some energy and just gets me ready for the day. I just part of my habit. It's part of my routine. I can't imagine not doing it now.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, it feels like it's been a really dynamic episode today. I've loved your energy. I've loved you teaching us and educating us and really opening our eyes to things that is really important that we have our eyes open to, but in a really, what's the word I want to use, in a really digestible way. It really does mean a lot, because I think that it can be, as we said earlier on in the conversation, it can be so overwhelming, topics like this. But to have someone like you who has not been afraid to grasp it and really, really work so hard so you can help everyone else makes just such a difference. And I'm so, so grateful that I got to have this conversation with you today. So thank you for your time. And
Thank you both for a lovely time. Thank you for having me.
I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it. And as I said, we will share all of your contact details in the show notes as well. And I don't doubt that you'll be getting some DMs, because everyone's got something that they're dealing with. And yeah, I very much hope that we'll get some of our teachers involved as well, who we've got quite a lot of teachers that listen to the podcast. So there could be some more school interest coming your way as well. Thank you so much for your time today, Jess, and I wish you a lovely rest of the week.
Thank you. Lovely to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, I'd love you to take a moment to share and subscribe too. Come and join me over at How Does She Do It Life on both Facebook and Instagram. And until we speak again, I wish you a wonderful week ahead.